Well, this is it. We're ready to attack Balteus. Everything we've ever wanted is finally within our grasp. The voyage will take a day or two, so we can plan on the way. For now, we need to ensure that we leave no stone unturned. Visit with your loved ones, say your goodbyes, because this is it. Once we leave for Balteus, our fates are as good as sealed. I don't think there's anything left to say. Finish up your business, and we'll set sail when the monarch demands it. Act under the assumption that you only have 1 or 2 days before departure. I don't want to rush anything as important as a goodbye, but every moment we waste is a moment for our enemy to prepare. I trust that we'll find a happy medium and embark without regret.
We know this place. The fatal cold, death within an hour, no chance of survival. Not like Alarinthia's deserts. We let criminals handle their own end. A mercy. Because of this, it became a very mysterious place. We started to wonder what was out there, if anything. However, until now, we had no way of finding out. This cold, we feel nothing. It wouldn't harm us to venture forward. Perhaps now is the time to solve this mystery. How fitting that we would be the first. A monument to death. An execution ground. Monarch, we would like to take a brief break. Unlikely. We would be shielded by our spirits. They may die, one by one, but we would endure. At the end of it, we would remain largely unchanged. Besides, we were not asking for permission. Do you not share the same curiosity as us? We thought so, too. Something about great minds. Perhaps there will be nothing, or perhaps not. It is something we will never know until we try. Already, we can feel our power dwindling. The spirits inside come forth to keep us warm. We will hurry and return with minimal damage. We don't understand. For a while, there was nothing. But then, we saw something interesting. East Crown is ice. There's no water anywhere. It doesn't make any sense. We saw a ship, crashed, broken, frozen among the ice. A ship, sailing in ice. This is backwards. But we think that perhaps this is okay. Backwards, just like our thoughts. The future, or perhaps the past, this new outlook changes almost everything. Do not worry, Monarch. We were harmed in no way. As we said, spirits inside kept us warm. A self-sacrifice that helped us brave the cold. A noble end. We are lesser now, but only slightly, and it is an interesting feeling. What we saw in East Crown is of no real importance. However, it has conjured up a spark in our minds. A spark that we must discuss promptly in Mazio. There are some final matters to take care of before the end. Thanks for coming here, Monarch. If anything, it benefits us. I'm sorry if this wasn't what you expected, but that's not always a bad thing.
Hey. Yeah, of course I do. It's so peaceful and everyone is so nice. I don't think Valenworth has any real downsides. We're not plagued with piracy like Mazeo. Our hierarchy works, and we're always stable. If I ever got the chance to leave, I doubt I would. That's partly why I've never left the village. I know that Peregrino is out there in Solberg, but I've only heard stories. I've never actually been. Hey. You mean everything that Milas told us? I'm freaking out. I can't believe the triumvirate is our.
Monarch, we must speak with you. It's about our upcoming attack on Balteus. At least we think it is. Things have become complicated. We may be walking into a trap. This may be all part of the Triumvirate's plan. Take their blade, feed it power, and then bring it back. This may be what they've wanted all along. We've seen it. Everything we've done has only made their weapon stronger. They let us steal their blade. They wanted it to happen. They knew we'd bring it here, feed it death, and tap into the idol. But not only that, we're bringing it right back to them, stronger than ever. You may think we are wrong, that this is just a foolish theory, but we must only look into the visions to realize the truth. It's almost like sometimes you have no other choice. You say or do things that pushes down a certain path, but more often than not, that path leads us to death. How convenient, then, that the blade feeds off of death. In your hands, it has gotten more powerful than ever before. But what force, what invisible hand, guides us down this path? It's quite simple, but we were always looking at it the wrong way. Venturing into Eastcrown and seeing that ship made us realize that when we approach things from a different angle, it all made sense. We've been struggling with visions of these different pasts. They seem to come out of nowhere and complicate things. Until recently, we only had to process visions of the future. At least, that's what we thought. But now we realize we've never seen the future at all. It's impossible to see what has not yet been written, but it is easy to see what has already happened. These visions of different pasts aren't as out of place as we thought. You were told you had visions of the future, and chose to believe that fact. But they are not visions of the future. They, too, are simply different pasts. The key to all of this is the Blade of Exodus. It's a constant in every vision. But the power within varies, even when it shouldn't. There are inconsistencies. Even if we have a vision of the same situation, the power inside the blade is different. The Triumvirate has some sort of dominion over time. That much is clear. They possess the ability to grant their subjects eternal life, like Ulric and Sovi. We need to operate under the assumption that this ability can be used in other ways. Mainly, in a way that could be used to strengthen the Blade of Exodus. They could create a cycle full of death and despair that we are unable to break. When the cycle reaches an end, they could revert time and gather that power all over again. The visions of the future you thought you were having, they aren't what you thought. We believe they are visions of cycles in the past. Perhaps cycles where we have perished. Did your visions of the future involve your death in any way? Think about this, Monarch. Those were visions of past cycles, Monarch. Cycles where we failed. When we look at it like this, these different pasts make perfect sense. We've been looking at them all wrong, that is, until just recently. It seems that we retain some prior knowledge from these cycles. Perhaps that is why we act in certain ways, as if we have no options. In the back of our mind, we're pushing ourselves in the same direction. We think the Triumvirate is manipulating time. They are doing this in order to make the blade even stronger. The occupation, the formation of the rebellion, and the attack in the tunnels. All of those casualties simply serve to give the blade more power. We have no doubt that many will perish when we assault Baltius as well. But when the time comes, they can simply make it happen all over again. It makes sense when you think about it, especially with these tunnels. Those suits of armor knew exactly how to fortify this place for your army. They must have retained their knowledge and adapted each and every time. But only one question remains unanswered. Why? Why do they want to make this blade even stronger? What is their endgame? What do they desire? It is very possible that we are walking into a trap. That is, unless the blade has enough power to defeat them. Their plan, if it's as I expect, is a double-edged sword. An infinite cycle created specifically to power the blade. There must be a cycle, a prime cycle, where we have the power to defeat them. A point where the blade is strong enough for us to win, but not yet strong enough for them. All we can do is hope that we've reached that cycle. The power in that blade is immense, but isn't enough. Hopefully you understand what we are trying to say. The reason we see these things is because of the energy within us. It makes us sensitive in a way that others are not. We are both special, but I don't think visions are the only benefit of this power. There is more. Perhaps you see a flash of events that are happening elsewhere. Perhaps you can relive a conversation that has already happened. These echoes of past cycles manifest themselves in many ways. But when we look at it this way, everything makes sense. Everything has an explanation, and nothing is left up in the air. The only question is, do you believe us? Do you think we are correct? Good. We knew you would see the truth of things. This was an impossible matter to discuss with anybody else. We are special. And now we finally understand the reason why. The Triumvirate is up to something. That much is clear. If it aligns with our theory, at least you will be able to act. Getting caught off guard would damage us beyond repair. That is not something we want our monarch to endure. Be prepared for anything, for the enemy will stop at nothing. If you can do this, then perhaps our victory will be more likely.
Sorry, it's just an old prank I used to pull on Sylvie. I'd take the blade from him when he least expected it. I guess it has a time and place. Sorry if I startled you. I came here because I assumed you wanted answers. Learning I was the Grand Inquisitor must have been a shock. I'm glad you have a clear head. You could tell that I've changed. But you deserve to know what I was like before I changed. In order to hide from my past, I haven't exactly been honest. But I wasn't lying to you. It was more like I was lying to myself. There was a man named Ulric in Alarinthian legend. He pledged to change the nation, just like I always have. The barbaric way of running things was too much for him to bear. A lot of the specific details have been lost to time, but it goes like this. He was young, and his parents wanted the same thing, so they fought for it. They died in the arena, and Ulric couldn't handle it. He ran away from the nation, but he pledged to return one day and change Alarinthia for good. The ideals passed on to him by his parents still live on to this day. That's likely what inspired Vivian to launch his own insurrection. Of course, the story that's handed down is never really the truth. To put it bluntly, I'm the same Ulric. It's been so long, it's hard to believe. I'm sure you had your suspicions, so I just came here to confirm them for you. My parents hated the way the nation was run. They passed that hatred down onto me as I grew up. But they got older. Before too long, they were decrepit. They could never change anything. So the burden was passed on to me, a rising star in the Colosseum. I never fought for leadership, just regular tournaments, but I never lost. One day, I guess the Triumvirate noticed how strong I was. They approached me. They told me that if I left Alarinthia behind, they'd train me. They'd give me the power to return one day and change everything. I was young and naive. I agreed without hesitation. I wanted to serve our gods. But before they accepted me, I had to prove that I was truly ready. Serving them would involve leaving everything behind. It'd be a fresh start. They devised a test for me, to make sure that I was truly ready to devote myself. They made me kill my parents. In their eyes, it told them that I was truly ready to leave my old life behind. Because I was young and stupid, it made a twisted kind of sense in my head. I did what they told me to. But as they died, I told them I was making their dream a reality. I was caught and exiled into the desert. That's how I became a Sixer. I survived the trials, was branded with this tattoo, and showed my worth. Their test was over. They took me over to Balteus and made me their servant. I served them by weeding out insurrections and ensuring they remained in power. After what seemed like an eternity, they came up with the idea of giving me an apprentice. That's when I met Sobi. They preyed on his weakness and naivety much like they did mine. We worked together, traveling the world and killing the Triumvirate's enemies. Eventually, I realized that they weren't good people. I defected and joined the rebellion. If the timeline seems confusing, it's because it is. We are talking about millennia here. They gave us the gift of immortality. Well, they called it a gift. We would never succumb to old age, and mortal wounds would easily fade. I felt unstoppable, like I was the king of the world. Nothing could get in my way. But after a while, I realized it was a curse. It's crazy how much your perspective can shift so fast. Taking the dream of immortality into real life, it became a nightmare. They knew what they were doing. They were creating slaves. Using that blade, they gave us what they deemed eternal life. I know we can use the blade too, but we can't reverse it. That should have been the first sign. I thought we did this willingly, but we really had no choice. It was all or nothing, an ultimatum, the biggest red flag. I've had this curse for far too long. It's made me a bad person. I no longer seek love, because everybody I love is just lost to time. I no longer seek happiness, because it's never permanent. Never. These fleeting emotions may mean a lot to you, but not me. It's an endless cycle of building myself up only to be cut back down. I thought I'd be like this until the world rotted away. Until I met you, that is. Someone who can use the blade. Someone who can lift the curse. And after all we've been through, even someone I can grow old with. Please use that blade and give me my life back. I don't want to belong to them. I think I want to belong to you. Thank you so much.
I can't thank you enough for coming with me, Monarch. There's not many people I trust this much. I'm really glad I have you. Until today, I've only had dreams about doing this, but now I'm strong enough. And honestly, it's all because of you. I give a little credit to my near-death experience, but not all of it. You've grown into a capable leader and led us all down the right path. This is where town meetings are held. They don't happen very often, but they need a big open space. There's a lot of people in Museo, so everyone deserves a chance to attend. A lot of bodies in one place. That's just what they needed during the occupation. This is where it happened, Monarch. The stuff with my mother. You may notice a crimson tint on the ground here. This is where they piled the bodies during the attack. So much blood. So much carnage. Permanently stained. Just like the memories in my head. As hard as I try, I can't just scrub those off either. Every other night I wake up in a cold sweat, crying. I feel the lingering touch of her hand against mine. Then, the moment she goes away, it makes me feel empty inside. There's nothing left to feel, except all those corpses pressed against me. A warmth that slowly dissipates, leaving me cold and alone. I had to stay under them until things died down. Almost a whole day. The moment I could, I got out and took her pendant along with me. It's all I have to remember her by, but perhaps that's why I can't let it go. How can you move on from something when you remind yourself of it every day? Just the thought, of course. But after all I've been through, at least it's a thought with merit. let's keep moving. I'll show you exactly where it happened. Just stay close to me, okay? This is hard. Well, this is it. Would you sit with me, Monarch? We might be here for a while after all. It was right here, I think. You never really forget, you know. I hope it's not weird to sit here with me. Coming here to face what happened. I needed to do this. But now I'm not sure what to do next. I mean, with the pendant. Do I leave it behind? Just like my memories, or do I hold on? I'm sure someone will just come around and steal it anyway. But maybe that's for the best. It could be somebody else's burden. I think I've grown tired of carrying it around for my entire life. However, I also don't want to regret doing this. I could be... Look at me. The world is at stake, and I'm worried about this. You know what? With everything you've done for us, I trust you. What do you think I should do, Monarch? Take it, or leave it? Besides, I'm a bit biased here in almost every regard. Your head is more clear than mine, so it's worth a shot. What do you think I should do here? What's the right choice? You're right. I think this is something I need to do. It'll be hard, but I need to move on. I can't hold myself back. We're fighting to liberate our world and push forward, right? It's a bit hypocritical for me to do the opposite to myself. I hope whoever picks it up goes on to take good care of it. It means a lot to me, and I hope it can do that for others too. It's time for me to let go, Mother. This was always yours. I was just holding on to it for a while. I'll miss you always, but your sacrifice for me will never be forgotten. Well then, should we get going?
Okay, Monarch, you're not going to believe this. I got some information about my parents the other day. After pulling a few strings, I was able to set up a meeting. As far as I know, it's just my dad. I think my mom was under the weather or something. But at this point, I'll take whatever I can get. I'm so excited! I'll finally get to ask him what happened. Do you think I have any brothers or sisters? Wait, don't answer that. I'll keep my hopes low. I almost don't believe this is happening. For the last decade, I've had eyes and ears everywhere. People run around Mazeo gathering information for me to sell. I prefer to do all the work myself, but anything extra is a huge benefit. I'm good at selling, so they provide the info, and then we share the profit. When we got back from Alarencia, one of them had a bunch of stuff to share. And one of them was the one piece of information I've been waiting to hear. My parents were alive and living in Museo all those years, and they were so close. I bought the information from him myself. I paid more than I have for anything else in my life. But you can't put a price on this kind of stuff, you know? My future and my heart is on the line. This is a big deal. I hope we don't have to wait too much longer. I'm nervous. I guess he's running a bit late. It happens. I can't hold it against him. Any moment now. I guess I should have expected this. You know, I thought I'd give him the option. He could come meet me when they were ready and willing. Other than that, my only option was to just march into their home. Of course, my courtesy just ends up stabbing me in the back. He said he'd be here, Monarch. He said he would. And I trusted him! It's not fair! Why don't they love me? I just wanted a family. More than anything, I want to belong. It hurts so much. They don't want me. I want to know why they threw me away. It's all I've ever wanted to know. That's why I do what I do. I don't know if I can live the rest of my life without knowing the truth. I just don't know what I should do. Let them go? I know, you're right. I've tried, but it's really hard. What happened here today might change things, though. After everything I've tried, maybe this is the wake-up call I needed. Thanks, Monarch. So, should we get going then? I guess you have a lot of things to do. Given that, I'm really glad that you came with me. I don't know how I would have handled this alone. Having you by my side, it makes me stronger. And if there's anything I need right now, it's strength.
Well, I guess this is it. I can't leave for Balteus with any regrets. So I'm finally going to do it. I'll climb the Grand Tree. And with someone like you, no less. Think they'll talk about this in the history books? I mean, I don't think anybody else has done this before. Here, you need to put these on like gloves. There's another pair that goes on your feet as well. After that, we just climb. We don't need to find footholds. Being able to create them ourselves? Now that's a good invention. I gotta give credit where credit is due. The Zayans know what they're doing. Don't tell anybody, though. These might very well be under the trade ban. It looks way taller than I remember. I'd try to give you some advice, but I don't have any. With those tools, this should be pretty easy. At least, I hope. Just don't fall, Monarch. I don't know if you could survive something like that. I've fallen from way shorter trees and been in pain for months. Well then, got everything ready? Let's find a good starting point and do this. But remember, it's a race, so no holding back. I want to make sure that we both give it our all. No regrets. I bet I'll be the first one there. Scared of heights? Make sure not to look down. I, for one, love the view. This is part of why I do it. Hey, no fair! I was taking a breather. Didn't think you'd be the type to play dirty. I can't believe we did it, Monarch! And of course, I had a feeling that I'd win. Never think you can rise above the master. Look at that view. I know we can't see the village, but these leaves? I never thought I'd get to see them up close like this before. I've only ever seen them when they wilt and fall off. But being up here and seeing them fresh? Wow. I wish I could take some with me, but I know I can't. You know, this doesn't feel like I thought it would. I thought it'd feel amazing, like I'd become a different person. But I feel just like I did before. I guess that's how things go, huh? Oh well, at least that's one more thing I can cross off my list. A bit anticlimactic, but I don't really know what I was expecting. Maybe it's like Eastcrown, just the allure of the unreachable. Well, should we get back down to the surface? I don't want to waste much time up here. We're busy and all that. It means a lot to me that we could share this moment. I'll never forget it. So, what's next on the agenda? You know what? Never mind. You do you. I'll be around if you need me for any reason at all.
After we returned, I got talking to the pirates. You know, to pick up any information on our parents. It turns out this is their base of operations. Their HQ. Kind of funny, isn't it? We both ended up having HQs in Mazeo. But, to be honest, that's where I'd like the similarities to end. They kept running off to Mazeo and left us in Saelus's hands. Now that I think about it, he raised us more than they ever did. I guess they were more interested in this life of piracy. It's awful. I wanted to come in here with you to face the truth. Our parents were bad people. There's no denying it. They wanted this to be their legacy, rather than us. Look at all this junk they valued more than us. Weapons, money, more money, and lame scrolls. Maps to some far-off treasure and riches, I'm sure. Sorry for going off like that. It just makes me really angry. We idolized them for so long, thinking the world lost good people. But to realize that maybe the world is better off without them? It's hard. Anyway, thanks for coming along with me. I just thought it would be good to do this together. I don't know how Fortaime would handle it, if I'm honest. You know, I realized I'm different from all of these rebels. They've been living oppressed in the shadow of the triumvirate. But it was never the triumvirate that held me back. It was always myself. I wanted to be a person who could make my parents proud. I wanted to do what society demanded of me. I wanted to be perfect. But this is a real wake-up call. Nobody is perfect. We're all flawed at heart. To realize that and embrace it, I think that's all I needed to do. I feel like now I can be who I want, and not who other people want me to be. It feels like such a small thing, but a different perspective can change a lot, you know? Well then, wanna take a look around? If we can find anything to help us in Valteus, then it's not a total loss. I'm sure there's something around here that we can take along with us. Hey, look what I found. I think I remember these. Back when I was a kid, I swear I saw them. That means they must have belonged to my parents. Or my mother, to be exact. Just an intuition, so I can't say for sure. But I'd be willing to bet that my hunch is correct. Did you find anything good, Monarch? What do you say? Should I keep them? Might come in handy when we attack Valteus. make them my own, huh? I think I like the sound of that. Well, I guess now I need to focus on the important stuff. What kind of person do I want to be after this war is over? I'm no longer held back by anything, so I guess my dreams are the limit. Should we head back then? I guess you have other things to tend to. Truth be told, I needed this. Thank you.